All right, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to New York session. I hope you're doing well. Okay, so as usual, we're gonna start with the dollar index. Now, within the next 15 minutes, we have rate announcement on the euro. Okay, so I'm gonna be as quick as possible to go through the currencies first, and then we will pause and observe the rate announcement on euro. Then after that we will continue. Then at 1:30 we will come back and observe unemployment claims on the dollar index. Okay, so that is the outline of how we're going to move today. So without wasting too much time, dollar index, we did reach our first downside objective, which was 97.18 yesterday. That was a nice move after a few manipulation that went on. They ended up going there. Today, this fair value gap is what I'm anchoring off from, and I think we will move from this gap here lower to attack yesterday's low. So far I think it's today's low, but the main target for now will be this imbalance. Now on the lower time frame, there's no time element gap over here, so ultimately I think they will go for the 96.58.85 level, but for now, for today, let's anchor for this level, and then we'll see how price will behave once we get here. Okay, so for today's trade idea, if not because of the news event rate announcement, which sometimes I don't want anybody to trade that, then I would say buy euro to go up to 1.18296, which if you are not scared, then that can be the trade idea to go up there. Okay, because they've traded to a New York gap over here, and then price has rejected so far, closing above this down candle. The only problem with this is the rate announcement, because rate announcement can manipulate first before moving higher, and I don't want you to. But it's a risk, that if you want to trade it, then you have to take that risk. So I'll leave that up to you if that's what you want to do. If it stops out, no problem. I think there's another gap here that they might eventually reject from, because so far I've not seen any run on stop since we reversed. This was just a reversal, but since then there's not been any run on stop, so maybe they can use this to run some stops here and then reject and go higher. So expect a continuation to the upside. British pound, same thing. I'm expecting, I think they did reach our first upside objective, which was the 1.35855 level. The next one will be up here, this equal high with this landing fair value gap. That's what I think our next upside objective will be. This is just a pullback, and we will expect a continuation to the upside. So again, buying with your stop below that, expecting higher prices, is the go-to for today on the British pound. Euro pound, it did come into the gap, but it came outside the time, and based on time, price actually went up instead of going down. So news event coming, the euro news will affect this directly. So I would say leave this trade alone, because it's not high probability anymore. They've gone through this gap. Now at this stage, it can go up here and take out this high, or it can come down and take out this low. So it's 50-50. So I'll leave this one alone and focus on euro and pound. Dollar yen, we did reach the 50% level nicely. Now I have collapsed most of my trades, almost all of it. I have just a tiny little bit, not significant, so it doesn't matter what it does next. If we go down, then the 145.67 level, that is where I think price will eventually go. So dollar yen, look for continuation. Yeah, on the daily, they've they've gone through this small little gap here, and this low is the next one liquidity in here. All right, because this being an impulse leg, this might be a pullback or even a reversal to go lower. So look for a continuation to the downside to 145.67. Gold, so gold yesterday, I was expecting them to run up using this fair value gap, but they traded through it and rejected. But I still see it as a pullback. It's not a reversal. It's actually a pullback, because on the daily we have a fair value gap, and until we trade through that fair value gap, price is still bullish. So I'm expecting this gap here, the one that I've shaded over here, to hold and send price back up again. So I'm seeing this as a pullback, and we also have this down candle here. So watch this New York session and see if we can start giving conviction or intention that price wants to go up. In order for that to happen, watch this London session up candle here. If we can trade through it with like a fair value gap, or even closing above this down candle with an aggressive up candle over here, that will be enough to send price higher, back up probably to here first, and then potentially to go and attack this high one more time, because this is this has engineered equal high. And I think I've said this several times. Anytime price is going to take a high, when it gets close to it, sometimes it can manipulate, go down, take out some stops before coming to attack the high. And I think in this case, that's what price is trying to do. Okay, so look for a continuation to the upside with confirmation. Crude oil, I'm still bearish on this. The only problem is, again, we didn't get the aggressive close below this low. Looking at how it's behaving, I think we might get a run down today. Okay, looking at how it's behaving, I think we might get a run down today. On the 1 hour, right, we've come back to the weekly opening price and then rejecting. Right, but watch the down candle here. If we go below it during this New York session, then I think they might use it as a breaker and send price lower. So watch that down candle. They can use it as a breaker and send price lower. If we break it aggressively, yes, we might get maybe a pullback to it during the New York session, and then price will continue going down. So something like this. to the 64.03 level. And then ES, nice move yesterday. I think I missed a trade, but that's fine. I wanted to buy had they touched the New York session high over here and then rejected. Okay, but it didn't do that, and the time that it broke this high, it was outside the time that I'll usually take my trade, hence I didn't take anything. But had they touched the New York session high and gave this price action, probably I would have gone long, because as I mentioned, we are going to the 6535 level. Okay, so again, today will be a nice day for a potential buy during the New York session. So whatever happens, you're looking for a buy during the New York session. All right. Okay. we have about 30 seconds to go for the Euro News event. So I'll come back to talk more about the ES. I'll come back to it, but let's go and observe the Euro News and then we come back. Okay, so I'm gonna mute myself for a few seconds and then we come back. Well, it looks like nothing really happened. So maybe they might be holding on, waiting for the 130 news, which is the unemployment claims on the dollar index. So and then I think usually the 145 ECB press conference also has a huge impact on what price does. So yeah, we'll wait for that, the 130, and then you see if it can have any effect on price. So moving back to ES. So ES, as I was saying, we are still going to be moving higher. The draw on liquidity, I think I have deleted it. That is not fine. Okay, and it's back. All right, so looking at the ES, the draw on liquidity, I know it's a little bit far, 6535, but that is possible. Okay, so track the daily. Okay, as long as for now this gap is the one holding, they've pushed away from that gap and the price is going to continue going higher. On the H4, this is all an accumulation, so this down candle closing above will be another accumulation on a lower time frame perspective, hence this gap is gonna hold and send price higher. So during this New York session, you can start looking for trade ideas on the 15 minutes. Let me see if I can yeah, I think something like that happened yesterday here. So on the 15 minutes, if you see a down candle that price closes above, on the 15 minutes, if you see a down candle that price close above during the purple line, by the way, okay, if you see a down candle price close above, that's a buy. If you see a fair value gap being created during this purple, so the time is 2, I've made it 1:30, but it's actually 2. The 1:30 is for the news event. So from 2 p.m. GMT 2 p.m. GMT to 5 p.m. GMT, okay, inside that, that is what you're looking for, this pattern. If the 15 minutes creates a fair value gap like this during that time, again, you can look for a buy for continuation to the upside. Okay, so that is basically the ES for you. And sit patiently and wait for the time. Don't worry about where price is, just wait for the time. When the time comes, then you start looking for it. Okay, all right, so that is that for the ES. Now let's go and check the cryptocurrencies. I think there's been a huge move overnight, starting with Bitcoin. So as I mentioned, Bitcoin, we need, if I was to put it on the weekly over here, you can see why I am expecting this low to be taken, right? Because on the weekly we have this down candle rejecting, creating a gap. So likely in such scenarios, the probability of price coming for this low is very high, right? So personally, if this was a currency, I would not trade until we go below this or price goes above this high. That would be the only way I'll trade. That is why on the lower time frame, I'm suggesting price comes for this low. Okay, it's the weekly low, and until we take it or we go higher, trading inside, it's very risky. All right, and you can see it has affected all the cryptocurrencies. Yesterday we had Ethereum drop, but ultimately still reacting or respecting this auto block, right? Because it doesn't need to close below. That's why all the wicks is coming back inside it. So I would like to see price stay above the fair value gap. If not, then the week will also end as a down candle, like the Bitcoin. Okay, the week might end up as a down candle as a Bitcoin, and then next week trade below this low before we resume going higher. Okay, because most of the time in such scenarios, market like to pause before continuing, so they might pause here with one down candle on a weekly, and then we continue going up next week. So if we don't get price to make a down candle with an immediate close, then probabilities are this will become a reaccumulation candle. Then you have to wait till next week, and next week you'll be looking for that same similar price action that I'm saying on Bitcoin, because Bitcoin would like to come here. Ethereum, if it creates this down candle, then it will have to come here, and then we resume going higher. This equal high, which comes in at the 4 105. That is still the drawn liquidity. That has not changed. Solana, I think we got almost close to that target. We rejected, but I still think that's the case. They will still go up here. Okay, it's just reacting off from this down candle as a breaker, but I think ultimately we'll go up there. But for now, due to the fact that they've closed below this down candle and we have this down candle, they've closed below this up candle and we have this down candle here, price might stay inside that and with more pressure to the upside than to the downside. Okay, so again, 220 is the drawn liquidity. This is still a pullback to continue going higher. XRP also did something similar. It pulled back to this fair value gap and so far it's rejecting. And I think it's also probably might reaccumulate before it continues going higher, and it's normal. Okay, price does not go up in a straight line. Sometimes it has to reaccumulate, especially when everybody's late to the party. They pause, or price pauses to let all those late buyers suffer a little bit and then they continue. It's just a psychological thing. So is it done yet? No. It's gonna continue going up. This is just a pullback and we resume going up. As a matter of fact, you can see it came to this down candle with the fair value gap, so it's starting to reject. Oh, not that one. It's starting to reject, right? That up candle, you can use that as your break of structure for the continuation to the upside. Hype. Okay, so hype has come back deeper into the fair value gap, which is absolutely fine, but the upside still remains. I think yesterday we had a big push and then price rejected, and I mentioned if it takes it out, it's still okay, right? You're just gonna wait for another break of structure. So let me remove this and then still wait for the up candle to be taken. Then you can look for the buy to continue going up. I think this is looking nice. So far I like it. I like price actions like this, where we create a fair value gap, we dip into it and then we start rejecting. That gives you a long way, or it has a long potential profit range, because once we break, we go and make a new high again, right? So watch this up candle. Once we break through it, price will resume going higher. This is the surprise for the week for me, because that I was not expecting. I was expecting the opposite. Okay, even though we got the day trade to go up there, that is not what I was expecting. And yesterday with this candle, I was convinced we were going to do what we did here, but to the upside. Okay, to the upside. But it is what it is. It came back into another gap. So now let's see if it can sustain or break the second one down here. Okay, let's see if we can sustain or break it, because if we sustain, then we might continue going up. If we break, then they might be coming back to attack this low at 0.12 before we start maybe going up. Okay, so let's see how today is gonna finish. Do we sustain or do we maintain this gap? If we do, then yes, we will start looking for all this as a potential run on stop or reaccumulation, and then we resume going up. Okay, chart key, same thing. We are still inside that gap on the daily. Okay, we are still inside that gap on the daily, and like I said, as long as we are in there, price is still favorable to the upside. All right, so similar to AI16, let's see, do we sustain it? On the H4, they've kind of closed above this down candle, so it's kind of looking something similar to when this reversal happened, and this one, and this one. Okay, so I wouldn't be surprised, maybe price will shoot up any moment from now. All right, okay, we've got about 20 seconds, and then we have the news event on the dollar. So let's quickly go back and observe that news event on the dollar index, and then I'll come back in about 1 minute. Okay, so the news came, didn't do much, but this H4, this gap here, is what we are referring to. So I think they've got about 2 hours and 27 minutes to go. Watch that gap. Okay, Euro has another gap on the 1 hour, the actual fair value gap right here, this one. So watch it. I think they might reject in there. Okay, so watch it for a potential rejection, for a continuation to the upside. And then whilst you're doing that, watch the dollar index, because if the dollar index can breach this high, yesterday's New York high, then I think the trade idea will not work. But hopefully they don't, because we are still bearish. And on the H4, these are all up candles, so this is just a pullback to continue going down. So if they can break it, maybe even that, I'm still not convinced. It might be a run on stop into the fair value gap on the daily, because we've gone through this down candle. So whatever happens, we are looking for lower prices. Okay, the only time we change is if it can close above the Thursday's high, and I think it will take quite a lot for them to do that. Not impossible, but it will take them a lot to do that. So watch within I think 1:45 there is another ECB press conference. That is where usually the move happens. Okay, I've noticed that when we have rate announcement on euro, they don't do much with it, but then the press conference, which comes in at the 1:45 time, that is when they do all their crazy move, getting ready for the 2 p.m. price delivery. So watch 1:45 for that fair value gap. The fair value gap I've showed you on euro. Okay, watch this for 1:45, and then they might use maybe that to start rejecting price, and the 2 p.m. to continue going higher. All right, so that is the trade for me. That would be the trade for today, that gap with this auto block here. That is the trade for today. So if you want any trade idea, this is it for today. All right, so that is all I have for you for today. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget, Bitcoin is not ready to go up yet, so be patient with it. If you day trade, if you hold, then just keep holding, because we will resume going higher. Until then, have a wonderful day, and I'll see you same time. Yeah, maybe tomorrow. Take care.